Cirque du Soleil, Hyatt Hotels, Singapore Airlines, American Express. When you think of these companies, we think of good customer service. It comes to mind. And when those folks need help, they go to Holly Stiel to help them with their customer service. Holly's an expert in customer service, and she also wrote the book on hotel concierge called...
It's called The Art and Science of the Hotel Concierge.
And she's here to talk to us today about what small business can learn from luxury hotels.
Great.
So thanks for being here.
Thank you. Pleasure.
So what are some of the things that small businesses can learn from luxury hotels?
Well, if you think about a luxury hotel, why would you go there, right? You would go there to create a memory for yourself, to create an experience that you would like to treasure. And so what luxury hotels understand is that their job is to get into the psyche of the traveler so that they create a really deep memory, and then they go back and talk to people about it. Because actually, Reese, there's been research that says if people couldn't talk about their trips, they probably wouldn't take them. And so there is this whole idea of creating a memory and designing an experience for someone that they will then repeat and talk about and want to repeat themselves. And of course, if it's a business trip, then you want to make that experience so comfortable and easy for someone that they wouldn't even think about going anywhere else. So it's really about understanding the idea of loyalty. And that how you create loyalty is by designing an experience. And you really have to pay attention to all of the details of that experience in order to do that consistently, no matter who is delivering that service. So any business can learn from hospitality on a variety of levels, and I'm excited to be here to talk to you about that very thing today.
Okay, terrific. So when you talk about the details, what sort of details are we talking about?
Well, it's about thinking through the entire experience. So what happens is that what the hospitality industry understands is they're not in the transaction business, that they're in the relationship business. And if you're in a relationship business as opposed to transaction, then it changes how you do that. It changes the way that you speak to someone. It changes the way that you interact on every single level. So when you think about the details, like imagine, I'll just use a concierge example for right now. So imagine that you're planning a trip for someone. So you could take that idea of planning a trip and think about that from the idea of selling a widget. Okay. It doesn't make any difference because there has to be a beginning, a middle, and an end to that experience of whatever that is. But what I teach is I ask people to actually close their eyes and to envision the spaces in between. And if you can envision the spaces in between, those are the details that are important. So I'll give you an example. So let's say you're taking a trip to a European small town, okay? So what I want you to understand is that, sure, you can get the ticket, you can book a tour, you can take care of you can make a reservation, you can take care of all the transactions. But what really needs to be understood is that when you get there, there's going to be cobblestones, and if there's cobblestones, you need to be wearing the right footwear. And if you're going to be taking a boat, then you need to envision what happens. Are there like 4 other boats there? Which boat do you take? What exact times are they? What happens? Do you buy the ticket on the boat? Do you get the ticket when you're getting off the boat? Do you have to make an advance reservation? All of those things that take the stress away from the experience is what hospitality, good people who do this, really understand. So let's just say you're buying a widget. Whatever it is that you're doing, you want to have no stress. You want to make it easy for someone. And one of the details for that is knowing what questions to ask and what to think about in order to make that experience stress-free.
Okay. So before we go away from our short version, what's one thing that small businesses can really do, like right now, to improve their customer service, or at least something that they should start thinking about?
Well, the most important thing that any business can do is actually have written standards. In order for people to behave the way that you actually want them to behave, you need to tell them what that is. And so written standards are actually non-negotiable. They are something that you absolutely have to have. And if you're listening to this and you don't have written standards, don't feel bad, because you're in good company. Most people haven't taken the time to write these out. Where in the hospitality industry, we have. So we know that if you're telling someone how to get to the restroom, you don't use it with a pointed finger, you use an open hand. And the reason that you want that is so that you can deliver consistent service. And you can't really have consistency if you don't have standards. And you can't have quality without consistency. And so it's just the most important thing. So I really recommend that. But one step before that, I would take the time, especially this is small business, you just talk to each other, have a conversation. What are my values? What are my true values here? Because if we look at anyone's behavior, you'll find out what they value, because your behavior reflects exactly what you value. And so you've got to start with the values, and from the values you create the standards. And then from the standards, what you need to do is actually hold people accountable for them, because if you bother to do values and standards and there's no accountability, don't bother.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming and being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. If you want to check out the full in-depth interview with Holly, go to the Small Business File website, go to the In-Depth tab, and click on Full Expert Lessons.